Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Saludos Amigos, which is the 6th animated feature from Disney, and is the first film in what is known as the package film era, sometimes known as the wartime era, which that latter title seems kind of inaccurate because in this particular era of Disney animation, only 2 movies were released during World War II. This one and next week's movie. Anyway, this movie came out in 1943, even though it premiered in Rio de Janeiro in August of 1942. It was made as part of the good neighbor policy that Franklin Roosevelt established between the United States, Central, and South America. And the movie pretty much consists of 4 animated shorts combined into a 42-minute film. That's right, you heard me correctly, 42 minutes. And it's pretty much an outreach film to South America. So like I mentioned with Bambi, Disney was commissioned by the US State Department to pretty much make a bunch of propaganda films to help with the war efforts. And in the case of Saludos Amigos and the next film, Three Caballeros, this was part of, as I mentioned before, the good neighbor policy. So back in World War II, there were a handful of Latin America countries that actually had ties to Nazi Germany. And the US wanted to pretty much counteract this and bring in Latin America to help not only the US, but hopefully the Allied forces during the war as well. But soon they found out that a lot of Disney characters, ranging from Mickey Mouse to Donald Duck, were actually very popular in Latin America. And the US State Department was actually the ones responsible for the Disney Goodwill Tour that brought a bunch of animators and artists down to South America, including Walt Disney himself. So that's why you have a handful of live-action segments in this movie where a bunch of Disney artists are going around these specific Latin America countries like Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Peru, and just getting a sense of the culture. And when you watch this movie, you really do get a sense that this is trying to be educational. It's very earnest about the movie it's attempting to be, and sometimes it works. Apparently, before this movie came out, the United States only assumed that these giant metropolitan areas could be found in the United States and Europe, and not in places like South America. So think about that for a second. It wasn't until the 1940s that the United States realized, oh, the South American population is just like us in a way, at least in terms of their major cities. That's mind-blowing to me. But then other times when they're trying to be educational, I don't think it really works. One moment that really sticks out to me is when you have a local playing this wooden flute, and the narrator of the movie says, and I quote, "Their music is strange and exotic." And I'm like, guys, that's just a wooden flute. Y'all never seen a flute prior to this point? I respect the movie for trying to be as earnest as it is, and it really is a commendable effort. In terms of the actual animated shorts itself, they're fine. I mean, there's a segment that's in Lake Titicaca where Donald Duck is pretty much just a tourist exploring the area. It would have made for a fine Silly Symphonies cartoon. And it's got its comedic moments, probably because half the time I can't understand a word that Donald Duck is saying. And I don't think I've ever voiced my thoughts on Donald Duck. I like his shenanigans, but sometimes it is just impossible to understand what he's saying. And then the next segment involves a small anthropomorphic airplane named Pedro who lives near Santiago, Chile. And it's, again, cute. Maybe it's because I saw this long after seeing the Cars movies, but I just didn't really care for this segment. To be honest, when it comes to the Pedro segment, I feel like this really had no place in the movie. Because sure, it takes place in Santiago, Chile, but there's nothing really educational about it beyond that. It doesn't take full advantage of the fact that it's in South America, unlike the Lake Titicaca segment and the next one, El Gato Goofy. And it's pretty much Goofy as a cowboy being suddenly transported to Argentina and learns to be a gaucho. And it's a fine segment. Again, like Lake Titicaca, it's definitely more educational than Pedro. And it's just a Goofy cartoon at the end of the day, except it's missing that iconic Goofy scream. However, the last segment of the movie is honestly my favorite of the bunch, and that's Aquarila Dobrasil, which translates to Watercolor of Brazil. The reason I like this segment the best is because it's definitely more artistic than the other animated segments. Even though this really does look like a Silly Symphonies cartoon, as in the entire movie looks like one, this segment is probably the most artistic considering how small the movie is. And it introduces us to José Carioca, He's just a green parrot who smokes a cigar, and he's a fun character. Although personally, things do get a little weird when he starts off speaking Portuguese to Donald Duck, and for some reason I understand Jose more than I do Donald Duck. But even though he's a fun character, I don't feel like there's a whole lot to this guy outside of just, again, being an educational ambassador to America when teaching them about Brazil and South America in general. So at the end of the day, Saludos Amigos is an interesting movie in Disney's catalog because it's only 42 minutes long. Like, it doesn't even qualify to be a feature-length film nowadays. And it really is just a bunch of Silly Symphonies cartoons combined into an outreach film. An outreach film that I think is very earnest in what it's trying to do. I just don't think it's entirely great in my opinion. So I'm gonna say watch at your own risk. I don't think it's bad, but you really have to go into this knowing the context of why this movie exists and just the circumstances that were going on in the world at the time. If you can accept it for what it is, then I think it's a lot of fun, but it's certainly outdated by today's standards. And there you go, that's my review for Saludos Amigos. Now next week we're going to be looking at the second and last movie in terms of Disney's outreach program to Latin America, and that is Three Caballeros, which unlike Saludos Amigos, I actually have seen many times as a kid on VHS. And compared to my thoughts way back then, my opinion on this movie has certainly changed. So we will get to that next week. But now I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of Saludos Amigos? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hi everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Saludos Amigos. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share me with your friends. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, have a good day, and take care of yourselves.